Hello YouTube, Shadow Hero 90 here. As you can already tell, I've been doing this show for about 3 years at this point, and in addition to the reasons as to why I do this, which I brought up last year, I am now actually going to state a few more reasons why I do this. One of which is that the portrayal of men in movies and TV is essentially toxic. And I mean really toxic. Men are... To be honest, I can't believe that I'm one of the only very few people who legitimately thinks that this kind of portrayal is not only toxic, but completely unfair. Second of which is the fact that these cartoons are aimed at kids, and they do not send a good message. Most of the time, a lot of these shows are role model shows, and the characters exist for the sole purpose to be imitated, and yeah, in doing so, you send some really horrible messages. And the last possible reason I could think of is that not this, but all these shows are pushing a political agenda. To be more precise, the political agenda comes in the form of a princess character whose initials are J and B. I'm pretty sure you can figure out who I'm talking about on those initials alone. But yes, a lot of these shows, and to extension, a lot of these role model shows, are pushing a political agenda. And as a white heterosexual man, I really don't want kids being indoctrinated because it could lead to a bad future. In fact, I really hope some really smart boy sees this show and it actually gets him thinking about sexism, and it causes him not to be indoctrinated to the feminist agenda that a lot of TV shows, cartoons, and movies are pushing. Especially a certain movie that will go unnamed that used a princess character whose initials are J and B to push their political agenda. As much as this intro actually does seem like a bad rant about the negative presentation of men and boys in the media, this is completely serious, and these 3 reasons I gave for doing the show are actual reasons. Now, that being said, if you agree with me on this, that's good. So just sit back and enjoy the review. Okay, in this episode of Sexism in Movies and TV, we're gonna be doing a new segment called Bitch Monsters. In this this segment, I'm basically going to be reviewing the misdeeds of some horrible little brat or bitch from any film or show, and show you, the viewer, what a monster she really is. Now, when it comes to female characters on TV and in film, there are a lot of bitches, ranging from egocentric, spoiled brats to egocentric, man-hating feminists. So one would assume that Lisa Simpson would be the first head on the chopping block. And to be honest, she really was. Until I saw the actions of Wendy Testaburger from South Park. And therefore, I decided that she would be the first head on the metaphorical chopping block. She started out as a love interest for Stan Marsh, but as the seasons went on and we got to know her better, she became more and more of a little brat. Someone who kind of deserved to be taken down a peg. In fact, it is actually kind of upsetting that Trey and Matt don't write some episodes where this little bitch gets consequences to her actions. And I am not the only one who thinks that she went from a good character to a vile piece of trash. And with all that said, let's tear into this little brat at her worst. Okay, like Lisa Simpson, Wendy Testaburger did kind of start out as a goody two-shoes, to the best of my knowledge, but pretty much as the seasons went on and the audience got to know her, she just became more and more of a bitch, like Lisa Simpson. And continuing with the Wendy Testaburger Lisa Simpson comparison, they both started out as the traditional cliched goody two-shoes little girl, but then developed, well, horrible traits. They de-evolved into unbelievable hypocrites. You know, the kind who fight for rights up until rights become inconvenient for them. Not to mention the fact that both her and Lisa Simpson delve in these twisted, brain-dead, backwards morals at a level that's over 9,000. In the episode Weight Gain 4000, she breaks into the school at night to read Cartman's essay because apparently she's so egocentric that she couldn't handle seeing him, Eric Cartman, be student of the week. And this messed her up so badly that she literally had to break into the school to read his essay to make sure he actually wrote it or didn't cheat or something. Back in the first season, when Wendy was actually a good character, and they got this substitute teacher named Miss Ellen in the first season in the episode Tom's Rhinoplasty, and all the boys get crushes on her. So what does Wendy do? She arranges to have Miss Ellen kidnapped, put into a rocket, and shot directly into the sun. And yes, this deranged Cartman level of villainy was back when Wendy Testaburger was actually a good character. Her actions in the Chrissy were 100% unneeded, and that episode itself is its own review. In the episode The Hobbit, Wendy is basically just nothing more than a bully and a complete hypocrite. Because in the episode Stupid, Slutty, Spoiled Whore, she went on and on asking what Paris Hilton did, where in this episode it's the exact same plot line, only that episode is the episode The Hobbit done right. Not to mention the fact that Wendy is the popular girl at school, and this kind of seems like an instance where the popular girl lost her thunder and is doing it for two reasons. One, twisted backwards moral, and two, to get her thunder back after being upstaged by a better female. The message of this episode of South Park was that Paris Hilton wasn't a good role model. Where in the episode The Hobbit, they basically say that Kim Kardashian photoshopping herself all over the internet and magazines is hurting girls' self-esteem. But then there's the fact that fat girls in the early 2000s probably might have had low self-esteem because of Paris Hilton. Maybe there are some fat boys out there who have low self-esteem because they don't look like, say, Tom Brady. You get my point. This is completely hypocritical. No one likes a hypocrite. South Park kinda did make their opinion known in the episode Stupid, Slutty, Spoiled Whore on this sort of topic. Not to mention, Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton are very similar. Take Kim Kardashian out of the equation and Paris Hilton would probably be where Kim Kardashian is now. And would have ended up making a third appearance on South Park. She'd probably be the focus of The Hobbit as opposed to Kim Kardashian. Wendy's actions in the episode The Hobbit were 100% unexcusable. She was just a bitch and a bully. She treated Butters like crap for having a crush, despite the fact it's someone he would have never ended up with. But that would literally be like a childhood crush gone wrong and some boy ragging on a girl for having a crush on one of the Jonas Brothers or Justin Bieber. In the episode The List, when the main characters find out the girls made a list judging them on their appearances, that, by the way, if this was the other way around, these guys would get their asses kicked. Wendy gets into a fight with her best friend over shoes. And her best friend here almost shot her. And you know, something kind of dawned on me. Wendy Testaburger is not a good character now, but she was never a good character to begin with. And it's kind of hard, it blows my mind that people actually think this is what a good character looks like. Especially after everything she did in season 21. Stan is a good character. Kenny McCormick is a good character. Randy Marsh is a good character. Hell, even Eric Cartman, who is supposed to be the show's villain, actually has some redeeming qualities. He saved the town in the episode Die Hippie Die, and has fought alongside his friends against several of South Park's deranged villains that make up their rogues gallery. In short, yeah, Wendy Testaburger is a bitch. She was never a good character. I have no clue why the fandom thinks she ever was. And something that just hit me recently. You could do an alternate version of South Park where all the characters are adults, but you'd have to take Wendy out of the picture. I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but if the characters on South Park were adults, Wendy would definitely be the town slut. And there would be an episode where she loses a bet, where she bets that she could actually go one day without jumping into bed with someone. If the main characters were adults, Wendy would probably be where she'd have the role that Cartman's mom has on the show without being related to Cartman in any way. She dated the closest thing the show has to a protagonist, the closest thing the show has to a main villain. She dated the self-righteous douchebag who uses backwards morals to try and seem like he's a good person when he's really not. And in the episode Clubhouses, this little brat is implied to have dated tons of boys before meeting the main characters. So there's kind of a reason that the main characters of this show had to be kids. Like I said, she's not a good character, and I really don't think the internet even knows what a hero's supposed to be since she has a page on Hero Wiki. In closing, Wendy Testaburger is a worthless piece of garbage, and it would almost be criminal, well, not criminal, but definitely a slap in the face to anyone who watches South Park if Trey and Matt didn't actually punish her for all the fucked up shit that she's done throughout the show. People say South Park is social commentary. Have you seen any of the fucked up things that women have been doing as of late? You could easily use this character to parody that, while at the same time giving this horrible character the punishment she deserves. All links will be in the description. Superman and Shazam. Goku and Naruto. Gaz Membrane and Mandy from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. A lot of great characters have similarities with other fictional characters. And in case you don't get by the piece of fan art, one fictional character that Wendy Testaburger has a hell of a lot in common with is Trixie Tang from the Fairly Odd Parents. A spoiled bitch who had no redeeming qualities whatsoever and actually kinda deserved a final appearance where she basically loses everything and then tries to suck up to Timmy Turner after having lost everything, and he actually turns her down. And believe me, I'm not the only one to see similarities between these two characters. And this Mikey Nell guy, I probably butchered that. He, out of all of them, pretty much hit the nail on the head. This is so insightful to the point where it is possible that Butch Hartman based Trixie Tang off of Wendy Testaburger. I mean, the guy even went so far as to write down an actual list of similarities between the two characters. I'll even have Dragon read them off for you.
Long black hair wearing pink clothes adored by a main character goes with different boys, LOL.
And believe me, he's not the only one. A suburban female deviantart user by the screen name of Puffed Sophie actually did a pretty insightful piece, i.e. this, and commented that Wendy should suffer more than Kenny does, which actually is kind of a good point. This bitch should suffer more than the poor kid who actually is helpful. As Mysterion, Kenny sacrificed himself, sort of, in a way, to save South Park from Cthulhu. And this was the boy who died, went to hell, and was willing to risk staying there in South Park the movie. Believe me when I say this boy will really sacrifice things for the people he cares about. Not to mention the fact that as Mysterion, he protected his younger sister. I don't see Wendy protecting anyone. Unless, that is, she has some kind of feminist motivation for doing so. And then there's the fact that Trey and Matt killed Kenny off in every episode of South Park up until season 5. And they don't bring him back until season 6. So yes, puffed Sophie, I agree with you. This bitch should suffer way more than Kenny does. And if Trey and Matt had any brains, they would be doing just that. I'll even put her comments, as this and black-haired Pinkies were the two best ones in this video.
Wendy, let's make Wendy suffer more than Kenny does, please.